Hey everybody, how you doing? Good to see you on Daily Distinction today. I just needed to be on the beach today. I'm ready for a beach day. Anybody else feeling that way today? Ready to get out of the office? Ready to get? It's Friday. Here we are. Hope everybody's doing great. How are you today? Great to see you. Hope everybody is doing well. Thank you for joining me today on Daily Distinction. Thanks for taking a moment to be here. I'm on a minute late, and the reason I'm on a minute late is because I saw something shocking and astounding, and I had to find it. I had to put it up on the banner here so I could show it to you and share it with you. You ready for this? This is going to be jaw dropping. Ready for this? I have to share this with you. Ernest, good morning. Great to see you. Glad you are here. Get ready to be shocked, and thanks for sharing this. This is gonna knock you out. Ted, happy Friday to you too. Charles, great to see you from the blue skies of Silicon Valley. Glad the skies are finally blue there again. Scott, great to see you. Yes, happy beach day. See, that's one of the great things about technology today. We can put ourselves wherever we want to be. Hey, Janice, happy Friday to you too. You guys have been going through some incredible weather there in the Houston area, so I hope you're surviving and thriving with all this going on there. All right, you ready? I'm going to knock you out with this statistic. Here you go. I just saw this. That's why I had to put this up. 39 and 47, 30 and 52, 40 and 45, 37 and 45, 37 and 45. Again, the total 183 to 37, 43.6% of wins. 5 seasons, none of them were winning seasons, no playoff series wins. Anybody guess what these numbers represent? Any guesses? Total 183 wins, 237 losses. 43.6% winning average over the 5 seasons. None of them were winning seasons. No playoff series wins. Anybody got to guess what this number is? By the way, if you're watching on replay, we'll get to it very quickly. No guess. Basketball or hockey teams? I will tell you this, Charles. It is basketball. It is basketball. It has to relate to the game of basketball. I'll even tell you it's the NBA. Any guesses what these seasons represent? All right, here you go. You ready for this? You're sitting down. Hey, Bruce, great to see you. Speaking of blue skies, your blue sky video. All right, here you go. You sitting down? Those are the 5 season records when Michael Jordan played without Scottie Pippen. You talk about something that demonstrates the importance of teamwork. You can have, Laura, that's close. Hey, great to see you. It's not the pre-Jordan Bulls. It's the Jordan Bulls without Scottie Pippen. It's the Jordan. Let me repeat it. I mean, these numbers, I just saw these right before I started. That's why I had to share them. They blew me away. Those are yeah, exactly. Those are the Jordan years without Scottie Pippen. So to me, if there's anything that makes the case for the importance of teamwork, you can have Michael Jordan on your team. And you're still going to have a losing record. Unless you have a team where everybody contributes and where everybody participates. Yes, Charles, to quote our great saying from Sunday night, ooh, that's just wrong. I had to start with that. Those numbers just absolutely blew me away. So as we look at what we're going to be talking about today, which is big mistakes, what are some of the big mistakes? Where I'm going to have the top 10 big mistakes that we make in dealing with customers. Top 10 big mistakes. And I'd love to hear what the big mistakes are with you. What are some of the big mistakes that you have seen in in your experience, either in dealing with customers or as a customer? What's some of the big mistakes that you have seen? Hey, I want to remind you about the Distinction Summit, as I always do, to kick us off. It's coming up. Gosh, it's closing in on us. October 16th to 18th. It's the virtual. So see, you don't have to get a plane ticket. You don't have to get a hotel room. You don't have to go to Hawaii or even Las Vegas to make it happen. All you got to do is to be here. Show up. Perfect. It's the Distinction Summit. Check it out at distinctionsummit.com. You get $100 off when you enter the coupon code DISTINCT2020. DISTINCT2020. And by the way, before we get to that, I'm going to be doing a webinar on the 3 critical reasons a small business fails to stand out in the marketplace. You know, no customer has ever said, I love doing business with those guys. They're exactly like the competition. If you're exactly like the competition, there's no compelling reason why they love to do business with you. If you're exactly like the competition, you've got to stand out to earn more. There's no reason a customer would choose you if your business is so similar to the competition. So we're going to talk about what the 3 critical reasons are that a small business fails to stand out. And we're going to analyze those and help you prevent those. You know what to do. Now what you need to do is to learn how to make what you do stand out so you can earn more. It is a free seminar that I'm doing on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern and 8:30 a.m. Pacific. And I just entered into the comments here into the chat. All you need to do is to click on and you can register for the free program that I'm doing on Tuesday. Would love to see you there, where we'll be talking specifically about the 3 critical mistakes that most small businesses make that prevent them from standing out. What's the big mistakes that we make as we deal with customers? I've got 10 of them for you here on this Friday. And here's the one. I'm not going to do a David Letterman, 10 counting that. Well, maybe let's do that. Let's start at 10 and work our way back. What do you say? Let's do it like Letterman does and start at number 10. Number 10 on the list, drum roll please, the big mistakes. And please, if you have a big mistake that you see when you're a customer, make sure you enter that. We'll get that in. Here's number 10, the lack of cleanliness and just being sloppy. Have you ever gone into a store and it just wasn't neat? It could even be clean, but it wasn't organized. It just seems sloppy. Or the people working there, they just look sloppy. I'm not talking about fashion in the sense of what their hair looked like or if they had ink or not or what. I don't care about that. Everybody's great. But I want it to seem organized. I want it to seem put together. And man, especially in this time where cleanliness is so critical. Jan Carlson is the legendary former CEO of SAS Airlines. And he was the one that came up with this thing about moments of truth, that every moment that you have with a customer can be a moment of truth, that they'll either be a customer or a critic. And one of the things he said, and nobody in the airline business had said this to this point, but he said, if the people flying our airline lower the tray and they see a coffee stain and it hasn't been cleaned and wiped between the flights, and they see that we haven't maintained our drop down trays on our plane, you are going to think, well, we just missed wiping that tray. The customer is going to think, do they maintain the engines as sloppily as they're maintaining their trays? And he's right? I mean, Suzanne Evans says repeatedly, how you do anything is how you'll do everything. And there you go, Ted. Cleanliness, number 1. I made it number 10. It's number 1. And you are so right. It is more important than ever now. More important than ever. Janice, I get it with you. I love it. You are so right. Disorganization makes me twitchy. I like that. Weldon, good to see you. Bruce, just drop one of these promises. Do what you said you'd do when you said you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. That's right. I quote that in Iconic. You absolutely. So true. So I'm gonna say it's number 10, but it's kind of a good one to start with, isn't it? Because if we don't get this right, there's not much more that matters for the customer. Here's the next. Have you ever been forgotten about once you sign the deal? They promise you how great the service is going to be, but once you move from being a prospect to being a customer, now all of a sudden they don't care about you as much. We see that with so many businesses. Think about pre-pandemic when there were a lot of conventions and conferences going on. Think of how many more sales conferences were held than customer experience conferences being held. Oh, we get the sales team together every year, man. We fire them up. We get out there and sell. How many meetings do we have where we get everybody together and make sure everybody gets out there and serves? We want to motivate our people to sell a heck of a lot more than we work to motivate our people to serve. As customers, what do we really want? No one wants to be sold, but we sure want the service that goes along with it. Hey, Brian, always good to see you. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoy the webinar. Thank you. So that's number 9. And we have to look at ourselves and see if we're doing this. Do you forget about the customer once the sale is made? That's number 9. Here's number 8. Pet peeve for me. Too much scripting. This has a lot to do with call centers. It's a lot to do with how customers are treated. But have you ever been on a call? I was on one the other day and it was like, Mr. McCain, we want to thank you for being one of our good customers. You have been a loyal customer since 2006. And we want, they might as well have a robotic voice, like you get from your computer reading something. It was the same kind of thing. When we overly script and we're in boxes in terms of how we can serve our customers. Oh man, big difference. Ernest, there's a difference between customer and client. Customer is a one-night stand, a client's a relationship. Yeah, it's true. And there's even levels above that, right? There is, even before a prospect, there's a suspect. A suspect is, you don't know if they're a prospect yet or not. And they don't know if they're a prospect yet or not. So you got the suspect. Then they become a prospect. They're kind of interested and you have something that interests them. They're a prospect. Then that first time they buy, they become a customer. Now, when you build the relationship and it's ongoing, then they become a client. But then there's one more above that, and that's what we should be seeking, and that's the advocate. Because the advocate is the customer that will tell other people about how great you are. And I think that one of the things that we ought to be in business of doing is advocate creation. We're all in manufacturing. We should be manufacturing advocates. That should be the goal of any business. Pick up the phone yesterday. I told the lady I was not interested, and then she said, please hold for my manager. I can't. It's crazy. I'm not interested. That's an unacceptable answer from a customer. Hold for my manager. Good grief. Sometimes. Have you ever been someplace and you hear employees talking about something they should keep inside? This happens a lot in retail, that you hear these two employees talking and they're talking about either personal stuff or somebody they don't like that works there, or how stupid something that the organization is doing that they disagree with. And they're talking about internal stuff that customers shouldn't know. And they have no discretion in terms of how it's being presented. Customers don't need to know everything. I mean, we need to keep that in-house. If you're going to have that discussion, go in the back room. But don't have that discussion in front of customers, because we don't want to hear that stuff. And we shouldn't hear that stuff. Hey, you got a right not to like company policy. You've got a right not to like coworkers. But for goodness sakes, don't say it in front of customers. And I feel the same way. When that happens, I just want to call timeout and leave. It's just ridiculous. It's not being aware and sensitive of your customers. Oh, see, there you go, Laura. It's It's shocking. It's ridiculous. It might, depending on HIPAA regulations, might be illegal. It's just keep your mouth shut. Talk about it in the back room. Oh, Janice, I'm glad you like that. Like that. Yeah, and Ernest, that's the highest point. That's the next point. That's what we want to get to. Oh, I can't get over that. Talking about patience. Gee whiz. Here's number 6. You had somebody argue with you. Never argue with a customer. I mean, the oldest line is, hey, even if you win the argument, you lose the customer. How's that winning? Big mistakes is when they want to argue with the customer. Okay, so Hyatt Hotels is running this deal. And the deal is that you can link your American Airlines account. And that's good for 2 reasons. Like if you have status with Hyatt in their guest program, then that elevates your status with American Airlines if you don't have it. So, then you become more likely to fly American, and vice versa. Maybe you got a status with American Airlines and you don't with Hyatt. So now you might choose Hyatt instead of Marriott because now you have status with Hyatt. Okay. So they're working together. So here's the crazy thing. So they send a thing that you're supposed to fill in and it matches your status. Cool. So I do it because I have elite status with American Airlines. Or did until I stopped traveling because of the pandemic. Okay, so I fill it in and I get it back. You don't qualify. Here's the reason they didn't qualify. Scott is my middle name. I've always gone by my middle name. My mom decided that when I was born. There was an astronaut named M. Scott Carpenter. She thought that was so cool. So I'm D. Scott McCain. Okay, but that's what my mom called me from day one, is Scott. But Scott's my middle name. Okay, but for TSA, I have to use my full name, which is Dallas Scott McCain. But all my credit cards and everything just say Scott McCain. Everything I've always done has just been Scott McCain. Okay. But my American Airlines says Dallas Scott McCain, and my Hyatt says Scott McCain. And because of that, they said you can't do it. So I call him. I get the email. So I call him. Not a big deal, but it's just kind of irritating. So I call him and I said, is there a way to fix this? And the woman said, yes, you should go by your given name. What? You should go by your given name. Don't go by your middle name, go by your given name. Like I'm wrong. She's arguing with me about what my name is. She's telling me I'm going by the wrong name. How's she going to win that argument? Oh, by the way, my response was, so if Brad Pitt calls you, you're going to tell him he needs to be William Pitt or Bill Pitt? For some reason, I look at him and I don't see Bill Pitt. I see Brad Pitt. If Ashton Kutcher calls, if Bruce Willis calls, if Kelsey Grammer calls, if Reese Witherspoon calls, you're going to tell them they need to do that too, I'm assuming. United States presidents like Woodrow Wilson, Calvin Coolidge, there's been some estimates about 15% of us go by our middle name. That is the name that we go by. She says, well, you need to go by your given name. How do you, yeah. Call my mom. You're right, Janice. That's what I should have said. Okay, here's my mom's number. Call mom. Here's number 5, keeping your commitments. And Bruce, this gets back to what you were talking about that Larry says, do what you said you would do when you said you would do it, how you said it would be done. Yep. If you don't keep your commitments, nothing else matters. Number 5 on the list of big mistakes that we make in terms of the customer experience. Those are big mistakes. Yeah, we should call him Jeff. Right, Ernest? And here's the next one. not being prompt to serve. I don't want anybody to lose their job. I don't. I don't wish ill on anybody out there. But someone I think that needs to do their job better is whoever is predicting call volume, whoever is anticipating call volume sucks. They really do. They stink at their job. You know why? Because aren't you finding at most of the places that you call, you're hearing a recording that says, because of higher than anticipated call volume. I've got one place that they've had that recording. I mean, that's not a pandemic thing. They've had that recording on ever since I started doing business with them 4 years ago. Because of higher than anticipated call, whoever is anticipating call volume sucks. But you and I both know it's not higher than anticipated call volume. What they should say is, because we really don't want to hire more people to be on the phone, because we're trying to save money, you can wait. We've decided that you waiting is a better deal than us spending money to have people on the phone. And it drives me crazy because that's all it is. It is just a corporate decision that they don't want to spend the money to have enough people on the phone to take care of you and me. Oh, big mistake. Big mistake. Ernest, you bet. Keeping your appointments is like, keeping your commitments is like keeping your appointments. Infuriates me when my appointments don't keep theirs when you do. Yeah. I once told a doctor that he owed me money. And I told him, what my speaking fee was, and he kept me waiting. And my appointment was at this time, and he expected me to pay the bill, and I did everything I was supposed to do. And it was an interesting discussion. And the last time I visited that doctor, oh my gosh, sat on hold with DMV for 3.5. You know what, Laura, though, and this is one of the things that infuriates me. In Indiana, the longest I ever was in a licensed branch was 10 minutes. Because the then governor of Indiana decided that if businesses could serve customers, so could the licensed branch. The licensed branch, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles in Indiana has customer scores in the 95 percentile. And the reason that drives me crazy is because it's just a decision. It's that you decide we're going to serve our customers. And what a revolutionary thought. The license branch would look at people needing a driver's license or a license plate or registration or whatever. What a revolutionary thought. Let's look at them as customers and treat them like any place should treat their customers. So what infuriates me is when I come to another state and I have the same deal that you've got, that your son has, and I realize it's only because somewhere somebody decided it wasn't important to be efficient and to serve customers and to take care of people. Weldon, good to see you. Bad things happen when you have to wait on the phone. Yeah, it's just a decision that we don't want to spend the money to take care of it, which says something about the value that the company places on customers. Number 3 is not listening. Not listening. Have you had that happen where you explain what your problem is and they just don't get it? And this is one part. There's certain parts of technology that I love. Man, I dig it. I am a tech nut. I mean, you don't want to know how many phones I have. I'm a nut. I love it. It's my. But the flip side of that is when I had this with AT&T, you call and you tell them what the problem is, and they send you to the wrong department because the voice activated system doesn't understand your problem. You can even say representative, and the voice says, so I can send you to the right department. Could you please describe your problem? Here was my problem with AT&T. I ordered a phone. they promised the phone would be, I would get the phone the day the phone came out. Then on the day the phone comes out, I get an email saying the shipment has been delayed by a month. Okay. I call the local AT&T store. They had the phone. They got the phone. So I go to the local AT&T store and I get the phone there and we cancel the one that's being shipped. Except you can see this coming down the pike, can't you? They didn't cancel the shipment. And they also set up a separate account. So now all of a sudden I got two accounts and they're trying to bill me for the phone on both of the accounts. I returned the phone and I got a bill for the account. Now I get a thing that I'm past due because they haven't knocked off the right account. And now I get sent to phone repair. So not listening is true whether it is a person who is not listening to you or whether it is the machine that's not listening to you. Oh, I love this. Laura, and by the way, if you did not see when Laura was my guest here on the show, it is there. Go back and pick it up. Boy, that is such an awful link, by the way. There's got to be, I can't figure out how I can copy that. Ted asked me to repost that and I'll figure out a way to repost it. But good grief. Laura was such a fabulous, fabulous guest and was just so extraordinary. And Laura, that line that you've got there is just, it is an opportunity to show our values. Oh my gosh. It is a values showcase, isn't it? It's a values showcase. Ted, I just reposted that. The problem is I can't post it on my personal Facebook page, which may be where you are looking, but on my business page, it is there. I will repost it on my personal Facebook page after we wrap up here today. Arrogant thugs and thieves is AT&T. There you go. Well, then it's just you get caught in that jam. I had to deal with Comcast when I moved from Vegas back to Indiana after my first wife had passed away, and that I go and I set up a Comcast. I pick up the cable box and everything, and I go and I plug it in, and doesn't work. So I call and I'm like, why, what, on my cell phone. And I'm like, can you, and they said, yes, you owe us, I forget what it was, $400 from equipment that you didn't turn in from the year 2000 when you had an apartment in Indianapolis, which was kind of interesting because I lived in California that year and didn't. Come to find out, there's evidently another Scott McCain that spells it the same way that didn't turn in his, and so somehow that got put on me. And I said, so let me get this straight. I get an account, I get the equipment, I bring the equipment back, and I said, so what can we do about that? And she said, well, you will have to file I forget what it was. It was like a stolen identity kind of thing. And then in 30 days, we'll evaluate. 30 days. Crazy. Just not listening. And I guess part of this too is it's not just not listening. It's not appreciating your customer's problem. It's not appreciating your customer's problem. Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, I went to Philadelphia. I had a meeting, I don't know, it was before the pandemic with Comcast. And was talking to them about, what they're trying to do to sort this out. They know they got to improve. See, there you go, Laura. It's full circle. It's the circle of life, Simba. I mean, if I would have just gone by my given name. Perfect. That is perfect. Yes, Charles, exactly. See, now it all makes sense to me. This has all been my fault. Here's number 2, not taking ownership of the customer's problem. This is when you get transferred 8 times, right? Nobody wants to take ownership. They want to just get off the phone or they want to get you to the next department or whatever. We hate that. One of the lessons we all ought to learn, take ownership. When your customer's got a problem, own it, solve it, fix it. You are the CEO of solving that customer's problem. Take ownership of it, solve the customer's problem. Here's the number 1 and the most inexcusable mistake that anybody makes, just not being friendly. My small business recently commissioned a study. We're going to be releasing that as part of the Distinction Summit. And we ask a sample representative, to be scientifically accurate, you have to have at least 1,000 people that you survey. So we worked with a survey company that does this. I mean, it's the quality of data that you could put in a newspaper. I mean, it's a high level. And so we asked them certain questions about what they wanted in a pandemic world and a post-pandemic world from the places where they do business. For people who, and we could break it down by gender, by age, by generation, by income, all of those kinds of things are all built in the study. And for people who had family incomes under $25,000, the number 1 thing they wanted was low price. Makes sense. I mean, that's not a surprise. But of people with incomes over $25,000, family incomes over $25,000, number 1 thing they wanted is they want you to be friendly. Interestingly enough, the highest group demanding friendliness is millennials. They see, and I love that, they see absolutely no reason that you can't be friendly. So the number 1 mistake that we make in dealing with customers is not being friendly. We've got to be friendly. And what that means is that has to be pervasive in how we hire, how we train, how we reward, how we encourage, and how we hold consequences. I mean, we've got to get to the point that even if we answer the question correctly, but abrasively, that's a non-starter. You can't do that. So we're going to be judged on how friendly we are. Ernest, one of my customers is a major call center for AT&T, and they will fire reps for being unfriendly on the phone. They're trying to see, and that's the thing. It has to start with that type of situation. That it's a non-negotiable. You will be friendly. It's a non-negotiable. So what we have to do is make certain that we don't make these mistakes. Hey, we're a little bit overtime today. Thank you for hanging in there with me. Gosh, a lot of folks watching today, and I truly, truly appreciate that. As you know, on the weekends, we just do a quick check-in at the same time, just to say hi and give you one little thought. But don't forget, on Tuesday, I'll be doing that webinar. Really look forward to you. If you get a chance to be there, please sign up for that. It's talking about the 3 critical mistakes that small business makes. It causes them to fail to stand out in the marketplace. It's the free seminar. Mark it down, Tuesday morning, 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. By the way, we announced our special guests for the Distinction Summit include ESPN's Sage Steele and Glenn Morshower from the TV shows 24 and all the Transformer movies, and now The Resident on Fox. You can get $100 off the Distinction Summit by entering the code DISTINCT2020. Just check it out at distinctionsummit.com. Hey, that does it for me for today. I'll look forward to checking in with you over the weekend. In the meantime, sign up for the Distinction Summit. If you haven't done it, sign up for the free webinar that I'm doing on Tuesday morning. I look forward to seeing you over the weekend, and have a great one. Hope you have the great rest of your day. Thanks for joining me here today. We'll see you tomorrow on the next Daily Distinction.